Hello everyone, this is Dwayne, and in this movie I'm going to show off a technique for duplicating a found set of records. So we're going to do a find, have a found set of the overall set, duplicate those particular records, and then quickly show just the duplicates. There are a ton of different ways to do this, and the one that I'm going to show off isn't necessarily the best, but the reason I'm showing it off is because it has a nice array of smaller little techniques that are used to give you an overall result. These techniques are either what I'd call the high beginner or in the intermediate area, and a lot of advanced design is taking things like that and putting them together inside of a full operation. So a lot of times FileMaker, you just don't, to get something done, you don't just choose one thing in FileMaker and hit a checkbox and it works. It's mostly looking at a number of different ways to go about something and then tying them together, daisy chaining them together till you get the nice overall result. And that's one reason why you have multiple ways to do something, and you ask 10 developers how they would do this, you may get 10 different answers. But the main reason I wanted to do the movie is to spotlight a lot of these smaller techniques. This can be found on my example file blog or in my found set blog. I do a little overview here, and of course you can download the example file from here, and then I do have a set of links to other discussions that I've had on these small little areas. And so feel free to check that out or any of the other different blogs that I have. So let's pop over to FileMaker. Wow, it looks like I'm having a problem with spaces. Okay. Well, there's a cool part of the movie that's going to never be. We're going to voyage on. Any other problems we have, I've done about 8 takes of this, and so we're just, for better or worse, we're going to plow through. So I've got that disclaimer out of the way. So here we are looking at a little database, and it's got, a record ID, which automatically increments when we do new records. We have a person name, a call date, and a type. So we're going to duplicate these records. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a find. And let's just pull up my fictional contacts. So I have Clark Kent, I have Bruce Wayne, I have Peter Parker, and I have Tony Stark. So these are all the alter egos of superheroes. So I'm going to duplicate these records and record that I have called them on this particular date. And I'll leave it up to you whether or not my intentions are nefarious or good-natured. We'll just leave that out there. Have that as an unknown. Perhaps I'm going to do something evil knowing these secret identities, but probably not. So we got one button here. It says Duplicate Found Set. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. And let's bring it onto this screen. And let's make it a little better size. So as you know in ScriptMaker, over here on the side we have all the different steps that we can perform. And over in here is the steps that I am performing, and FileMaker starts at the top and then it works its way downward. And so in this particular script, I've also put in some comments of what I wanted to do. And the comments that I put in there, this is an idea I got off of the A Data Solve FileMaker podcast. And it was a discussion with a guy named John Sindelar here in the Seattle area too. There's a product called Seed Code. And he talked about how a lot of times when he does scripts or he does scripts helps with other folks, is that he puts the comments in first and then fills in the in-between parts with script steps, and I thought that was such a marvelous idea. I'm starting to do more and more of that type of myself. So what I did was I first added in my comments, filled in my steps. So I'm going to go to the right layout, and I'm clearing out this global field that I'm going to track with a little bit later, and we'll show where that comes into play. And then I'm going to my first record, and what I'm going to do in my found set is I'm going to capture the unique IDs of all the records in my found set. So in this case, I have my 4 superheroes. I'm going to go through and I'm going to capture this, I'm going to capture that, capture capture that, capture that. So I'm going to capture 1007, 6, 5, and 4. So this whole process in here is for me to actually capture those. And then what I'm doing is all these unique IDs, individually I'm going to do a find for that record and I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to go to the next record in my list, find it, duplicate it, find, duplicate, and then as I do these, so you can see I'm entering in find mode and I'm setting that field equal to something, and then I'm performing the find, and then I'm duplicating that record, and then here's where I'm setting my global. Basically what I want to do is I want to know what my duplicate records are, because I'm going to go to those at the end of the script. And then basically my little list that I have that has all the records that I wanted to duplicate, I'm crossing off things at the top as I'm doing them. So this is a common in script loops, is that I'm going to do something to a particular record, and then I want to make sure that I don't do it to that record again. So I have to do some sort of action. And then I kind of want to know what I did, especially in a duplicate. I want to know what my P's and Q's to touch in this case. I want to know what my originals are and where my duplicates are, because for the action I'm going to do after that, I don't want to get them mixed up. And then we do a GTRR, a self relationship, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and close this up. Move this down. And what I'm going to do is show you a couple other FileMaker Advanced tools. Anybody who reads my blogs knows I'm a big fan of FileMaker Advanced. It's a higher level of FileMaker, and it costs a little bit more, but if you're going to be doing a lot of FileMaker development work, it's well worth it. So I'm going to pull up what's called the script debugger, because I'm going to debug my scripts. And let's move that around a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to pull across what we call our data viewer. And that's over on my second monitor. Let's open that up. Okay, let's just put him down here. I got my monitor smaller just for the movie, so we'll do the best that we can. I think we'll be all right. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I've got these 4 records. I want to duplicate them, and when I'm done, I want to see just the duplicates. So I'm going to click on my duplicate found set, and that is going to run. I just double clicked on that. That's going to run my duplicate found set via an array, which, as we know, that's right here. That's the script that we're going to run. So when I run that, you're going to see it show up here in the script debugger as I go through each step. So duplicate found set. So the first thing we want to do is to go to the right layout, and since that button is only on that layout, there's a very low chance that you would be on a different layout. But I did have it right here, so the scripts menu would be available probably in every layout. So it's really depending up to you whether or not you always have a go to layout script step, but almost all advanced developers would tell you, twice as good. Redundancy in this case is probably okay. So then I'm going to clear out my little global field, and that's because later on down here, my global field, I add stuff to it. So my global field is going to be, again, another of these lists that has multiple values. If I don't clean it out, if I've ran this script twice in the same day, then if I run it twice ever, if it's in single user mode, that global is going to hold the old values. And if it's on a server, if I run it twice in the same session, it's going to hold those same values. And that's the thing about global fields. Global fields are global for single user mode, and in multi-user mode, they're global for that user in that session that they're going on. So I'm using, later on I use this to find my found set. So we'll go in that a little bit farther, but so basically I'm just setting a global field equal to itself plus a new value a little later on, but I'm clearing it out right now. So The other way to look at it is I'm going to be using a list of values, but I already have a list right here. So I'm just grabbing me a new list, new piece of paper, clearing it out. So then I'm clicking my little script advanced. So this tells me in the script debugger I'm going to go from step to step to step. And that's what's great about the script debugger, is that if you have a problem, you can actually see the script as it works through. So I'm going to go to the first record, and let's just show that off by going to a different record and then doing my script. Go to record first. Boom. See, we popped to our first record. Now, script variables are a little thing up in memory that you can access. You don't have to use the field. It's just holding values. And we're going to see that show up here in my data viewer. So this is actually in the current tab. It's showing me in global fields or variables, script variables that are as they're being set. So let's go ahead and go there. Okay, nothing's happened. We're at that script step. When I click it again, this step, I'll have executed that script step. So keep your eye down here, and what we want you to do is have this value, because it says set this variable, and let's see if I can pull that up. So I have this variable that's using my set variable script step in my control family of script steps. And let's bring across our calculation. And basically I have a case function, so it says this is true, this is true, this is true, whatever. So basically I'm saying if my variable is empty, set it equal to my record ID. If it's not empty, so this is everything is empty, this is what it'll do if it's not empty. It's going to set it equal to itself, add a carriage return, and then add the record ID of the record that I'm on at the time. So this is kind of like writing a list, isn't it? You know, milk, eggs, bread. I write something, and then down the next level, I write the next thing. So I'm recording my record ID. Cancel out of this. Let's close this up. Keep an eye down here. Should have this value. There we go. So this is a variable. We just assigned it via the set variable script step. Again, I talk about that a lot in my blog. And you can see that it's got a value that's equal to our record ID. Very cool. So, and we've actually entered this loop. So now it's telling me go to the next record, exit after the last record. So we're on record 1. So when I hit here, it executed that script step. We're on the second record. But I'm not on the last record, so when we click on this next, you would think FileMaker would go down here possibly, but what it's going to do is it's still going to be in the loop, so it's going to come right back up here. And it's going to set, again, the record ID equal to itself plus this new value. Remember how we talked about that in the case statement. So let's go ahead and click it. And there again, you can see, hey, we kind of got something. We see something. If I click on there, double click on it, there I can see it's got 1004 plus 1005. It's building my list. Now again, it's going to go to the next record. It's going to say if you're the last record, I'm going to exit out of this loop routine. But again, we know we're not on the next record because we still got Peter and Tony to go on. So now we're on Peter's record. We want to have 1006 added here. And let's take a look. Yeah, our little tooltip's working. And now we should go to our, now we are indeed on the last record now, so we're in the loop. So this is going to know that we're on the last record after we set our 1007 to our list. So let's go ahead and go there. Let's take a look at our little list here. Alright, we got all 4 records. It says go to record exit after last, and see how it just popped right over the end loop. It knew it was on the last record. Set error capture on. I just don't want any error messages to come up. There shouldn't have been any anyway, but that's just, I deal with errors in a different way inside of the script. So So now I've completed my first loop. I have copied all the unique record IDs into this little upper place of memory called a variable. And using the data viewer, I can see what's in my variable. 1004, 1005, 1006, and 1007. So now I'm going to enter into my second loop. And it's where I duplicate the records individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into find mode. So let's take a look over here. And I'm in a loop now. So we're the very first iteration of the loop. But we're in a loop. And now I'm going to set this record ID field equal to the left value. So I'm in find mode. So you might go, oh my God, he's writing over data. No, I'm in find mode. And I'm going to find, I want to find the particular record ID. What I really want to do is I want to find record, 1004, right? So what my set field does, it says, give me the left values of that variable 1. So if you take a look at any of the values, the left, right, or middle values inside of your text functions, they're looking at a string of data that's separated by a carriage return. So when I say I want to set this field equal to my left values, record ID 1, I'm saying in my record IDs variable, I want to pull everything that's to this side of the carriage return. So when I do this, it should put 1004 in there, again, from my little list of record IDs that I captured via the variable. So we click yes, and hey, there's our 1004. Now I'm going to go ahead and perform the find, and it's found Clark. Remember, Clark was our very first one. Now it's going to go ahead and duplicate Clark. Now I got Clark in there twice, right? And I'm going to go ahead and commit my record. I'm going to save my record. So, and I worked with another developer once, and he used to always talk about his problems they would have with the scripts, and he didn't have a lot of problems, but every developer has problems with scripts occasionally. And he would say, "I was my old friend commit record." So commit record script steps is when you want to save, because if you don't save, FileMaker may later on when it runs scripts say, "Well, I'm not going to use that because, as far as I know, it's unsaved, and I don't know, did you really want to use it or not?" Doing by a commit means it's saved. So now, as you can see, we're going to slice off the top value in our array. This is our array here. So what I'm saying is I'm going to slice off 1004, because when I do my next find, I don't ever want to find 1004 again. So how am I going to do that? Well, again, we're using our record ID variable. So let's pull this up if it'll let us. Pull this up if it'll let us. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting my variable equal to all the right values that are in that field. And then I'm counting the number of values in that field, and I'm subtracting 1. And some of you may be going, let's take a look at that. I am saying that, again, we talked about values. So when we use values, it just says I'm looking at this as a value, and I'm looking at this as a value, and I'm looking at this as a value, and I'm looking at this as a value. And so before, when I did my find, I said, I want to take the very top value. All right? So I've used that top value now. To get rid of it, what I'm saying is I want to pull all the right values. Okay? I want to get all the right values, and the number of values that I want to get is what the overall count of values is, minus 1. So I don't have to hard code anything in here. It knows when I'm done, 1004 is going to be taken away because I'm only going to be getting these returned. So let's go ahead and pull that down, and let's see what happens. Oh my golly, it happened just like we thought. It took all the right values, 4 of them, subtracted 1, and from the bottom up, these are what we have left over. Now, I'm saying I want to go ahead and exit this loop, right, if this is empty. Right? Because after I keep slicing off the top, if there's no top left, I don't want to stay in that loop. I don't want to be caught in an infinite loop. So we're going to hit OK. And it went to end loop because it knows there's value still there. Enter find mode. Slice the top off. Oh, let's go ahead and close our script here. Find mode. Slice our top. Perform our find. Duplicate that record. And now what I'm going to do is, and I missed this before when I was talking to you, but that duplicate record that I'm on, you know, the second Bruce Wayne, in my little global field, I'm capturing that record ID. And you can actually see that right here. So there you can see that's my duplicate Clark that I did earlier. And when I run this again, now we take it down there, and this is my duplicate Bruce. And we're going to see if we slice off our top. Oh, wow, there's a little, again, I'm going on. Wow, okay, let's just take a minute. Why would he do that? Okay, right on. Okay, let's move on. Gotta have a little comedy break. Yeah, I put that in on purpose. I thought that would be funny. So now I'm going to go to my record ID down here. So when we take a look at our record ID, we still have Bruce in there. We got to get rid of Bruce. So we're going to slice the top off. Now Bruce has been sliced off. This is the original Peter and the original Tony that we still have left to go. And if we take a look at our tracking of our duplicates, we have our duplicate Clark and we have our duplicate Bruce. So we hit OK. So now we know we still have values here. So this secondary loop we're in, we're still in the loop. We're still processing our records. We go into find mode. We're going to find for 1006. Again, that's what we popped in there. We performed our find. We duplicated it. Now we have 10029, which is our duplicate Peter. And now if we take a look at our captures, we have captured duplicate Peter as a duplicate. And now we're going to get rid of our original Peter from our list. And now you kind of get the idea that we are actually just working two different lists. I created a list and I'm working off of it, and then I have a duplicate list that I'm building up. So we're going on, and we are going into find mode, and at this time we're going to find Tony. Come down, we've duplicated, we have our duplicate Tony. We're committing our record. And now again, we're going to set our variable, right? This variable here, we're going to set it right, the total number of variables minus 1. So let's see what happens. I cleared it out. Okay, so now that variable is empty. I have duplicated every record in my list. So it says exit loop if my little internal global variable is, or a local variable, script variable is empty. So we click OK, and we passed right past end loop. And now we're on our very last script step, which is go to related records. So now I can talk a little bit about that global field. I have been capturing all the record IDs of our duplicate records off to the side there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at, well, I guess we're going to have to run the script. Sometimes, so let's just go ahead and run our script. I'm going to run my go to related records. So right now you can see that we're looking at our found set exists of our duplicate Tony and our original Tony. And we know our duplicates are higher numbers than our originals, and they should, when we're done, we should be looking at a list of these duplicates. Notice how they're sequential, the way they were created. Let's just run that script step. And now you're looking, I've got all 4 of my duplicates. I'm looking at duplicate Clark, duplicate Bruce, duplicate Peter, and duplicate Tony. If I did a new window, and let's go ahead and close these out because we don't really need them anymore. And we do a show all records. And let's go ahead and do a find for our fictional. Now you can see we have 8 records. There's our original Clark, and there's our duplicate Clark. So just kind of showing that off to you. So what I want to do now to wrap this up is to talk a little bit about this go to related record script step. And what this does, a lot of people don't kind of grasp what the found set is. The found set is a smaller set of the overall records, and you're saying, okay, yeah, I figured that out. But a lot of people think you ought to get there via find, and that's not true. You can actually omit a record from the overall records, and all of a sudden you've got a found set, records you're working with, and an omitted set that is still in the table, still in FileMaker, but you can't browse to it by clicking anything. It has to, another finder has to bring it in, or you'd have to merge your found sets and your omitted sets. Go to related records says I want to go to any of the related records and create them as a found set. So as you might have guessed, we're talking about a relationship here. Let's take a look at our relationships. So we have one. This is the original table, and this is the exact same table. These use the exact same base table, but these are what you call table occurrences, and that's because a table can occur many times in the relationship graph. And anything that's in the relationship graph is what FileMaker uses to differentiate context as far as scripts goes, calculations, layouts, that type of thing. So remember how we were building that duplicate record, with our duplicate Clark, and our duplicate Bruce, and our duplicate Peter and Tony? So this has got that list of all those unique records, and this is the record IDs inside of there. So in here I have my little list of all the duplicates, and I'm going to do a GTRR, which says I want to go to the related records that are here. So it's saying if there's a match between these two, I want to go to them. And a lot of people don't realize this. This is what we would call a multiple line key field, or multiple, I don't know, there's like 8 or 9 different words to it, and I've been calling it multiple line for the longest time. And that's because it equates to like a line on the list. So we had our duplicate Clark, and we had on a new line we had our duplicate Bruce, and then on our new line we had our duplicate Peter, and then on our new line we had our duplicate Tony. So we have multiple lines inside of a key field that's a global. And when I do my GTRR, each line can relate to any other record over there. So basically I can pull up all 4 related records, because each line is kind of like a new value. It's a multiple line key field. Each key can consist on multiple lines. So I've said it about 8 different ways. Hopefully one of the ways stuck, or play the movie again. So, there we go. We've got it. Let's just take one more quick look at our script, and then we'll call this movie done. So we're going to our regular layout. And then, remember I talked about my list that I'm using for my go-to related records and stuff? If it's got values in there, I want to clear them out, because I don't want to have an old list on top of a new list. I want to create a new list because I'm writing the script for the first time. And then I have one loop right here, which is creating my list of records that I want to duplicate. So it's going to the first one, setting the variable. If the variable is empty, it's setting it to the very first records information. But if I am like on my second or third time on this loop, that variable is not empty, and I don't want to wipe out what I knew before, so I'm actually adding to it. And then when I'm on my last record, I've captured all on my list of all the records that I want. So then we actually exit the loop. Then my little list, what I'm doing is I'm tearing off the very top value and doing a find for it, duplicating it, and then going back to my list, tearing off that top value because I've already done with it, and going to my next value, which by now is the first value because I took the top one off. Again, it's kind of a list. So you might equate it to marking a line through a list item, and then as soon as you do, that list item, poof, goes away, and everything moves up. That's how it happens in the digital world, not so much in the analog world. But, and I'm using that little metaphor, boom, 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 again and again, until eventually I have no list at all, and I've done all the actions that I wanted to in the originals. At the same time, when I'm doing these, after I've created a duplicate, I'm recording it in a separate list. because later on I want to go to those related items in that list, GTRR. So again, I'm clearing my secondary list that I used to find my duplicates, just in case this is the second or third time I've run this duplicate the array script. I'm going to my first record and all my records and capturing their unique IDs in an internal list using a variable. Then I am finding each one of those, and I'm duplicating that record, and then I am in a global field, because I'm going to use it in a relationship. I'm capturing each duplicate's ID, and then I'm slicing off the top of my first list that I wanted to duplicate. And when my list is empty, I exit that loop, and then I go to my secondary list of records. So hopefully this movie made the overall experience a little illuminating for you. And if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to send me an email at info@